This next gentleman is Tom Hopkins. He's an awesome speaker who's helped me personally learn tie-downs, who's learned alternate choices, who's learned salesmanship so you can care and serve. Salesmanship is to help others, not to manipulate. It's to help those that want to be helped. Our speaker today has earned the reputation of being America's #1 how-to sales trainer. Over 5 million salespeople, entrepreneurs and sales managers on 5 continents have benefited from this gentleman. And I'm going to tell you, he has sold 365 homes in 1 year. 365 homes in 1 year. That is one a day. 1 house a day. That is phenomenal. Teams don't even do that amount. And he did it by himself. He's perfected the selling skills during his 8 years of real estate career, which he received numerous awards. As I mentioned, he sold 365 homes, something that was unheard of at the time and has rarely been matched. Since that time, he's developed and customized proven effective sales skills for 350 companies. I want to welcome Tom Hopkins, a man who has helped me be a better salesperson. Tom?
Good morning. Great coming up. And you know what Dennis said was so true. Last night was so special. Normally I fly into a city, get up on the stage, talk, walk off, go and fly out. But to be with your leaders last night, to share and laugh and talk about the things that Bruce and all of us shared was just so outstanding. And what's so fun is last night we did 3 things. We educated, we had fun from motivation of what we're going to do, and we had fun. And I think that's what you do with people. You educate them and they feel they're getting benefit. Then you motivate them to take action and do something, and then you have fun with it. My father, 50 years ago plus, managed for Bruce in office, and I got to know Bruce, the CAR tours, and he and I shared one main thing, and that was we both love humor. And we collected jokes. I have over 1,000 jokes in a collection. And Bruce and I used to just laugh and laugh and laugh. And so I'm so thankful to be here, Thomasine, to share this special time with all of you. And last night, the couple of the folks who go back 40-some years with me said, Tom, you got to kind of tell them about your beginning before you get into the actual teaching. And so I said, quickly, I made it for 3 months in college, and after 90 days I quit. I came home, my dad walked in and said, what are you doing home? It's midterm. I said, I quit college. And I'd never seen him cry. He was a very strong man. But tears filled his eyes. He said, son, I'll always love you because you're my son. Even though based on your decision to quit college, I know you'll never amount to anything. Now that was my first motivational talk. And you know, one thing I've learned over the years, if you find someone who has succeeded in life, that have great achievements, go back through their career, and there's a point that at one point they had to prove something to someone. Mm-hmm. And think about that. Did you ever have to prove? Well, that's what happened to me. I, 17, depressed, sat on my bed and said, I'm going to prove my father wrong. I didn't know what I was going to do. Well, that day my Uncle Don came over and he said, Tommy, you quit college? I said, oh, Uncle Don, it's not for me. I barely got out of high school. I don't want to go to college. And he said, well, son, what are you going to do? I said, I have no idea. He said, well, you know, I'm general manager of Bethlehem Steel, and we've just been given the job of building a baseball field, and it's called Los Angeles Dodger Stadium. That's going to be the name of it. And we need iron workers. Now, I don't know how many of you ever carried steel, but it's the hardest physical labor on the planet. Many of you have seen a swimming pool made, and they'll put bars, this is a number 4 bar, about like that, every 6 inches to keep the concrete from falling apart. Well, on our bridge deck, and on Dodger Stadium, the main bar is a number 11 bar. This big around, they cut them in 60-foot lengths. They weigh 208 pounds. The only way you get them off the dirt to the deck is men like animals carrying them. Now, because I was 17, the general manager was my relative, and everybody knew that, so I got to carry more of this. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I was 6'2" when I started. I said, I have to do something else with my life. Well, my dad, who again almost disowned me, I had to move out of the house, had a little $75 a month apartment in North Hollywood. So my dad comes over. Hadn't seen him for a while. He says, Tommy, I came over because you know how peeved I was that you quit or are going to college, but Uncle Don tells me you're the hardest working man in the job. That the older guys, now they were old, 30, 35, the old socks. They didn't want to work with me. And he said, I understand that many of the men said, don't get me with that kid. He's a fanatic. He runs with the steel. And I did that for a year. And my dad came back to the house. He said, son, you got a nice way with people. You're 18 and you're in California, get a real estate license. I said, oh, Dad, come on, you got to take an exam. I couldn't do that. I said, sure you do. He chided me and other friends said, God, you can do well in real estate. So sure enough, how many of you failed your real estate exam the first time? Let me see your hands. How many of you failed it the second time? How many of you failed it the third time? Anybody 4? I saw one hand back there. How many times did you fail it? 6? 10? God bless you. Stand up. Give him a hand. See, in the game of life and in real estate, there's a basic truth that you haven't failed until you quit. And success comes at different times to people. I didn't start off doing well. In fact, I made 1 sale in the first 6 months. And of course, your homes are 500,000, 600,000, 700,000. Well, when I was selling, they were 18,000. But it was the same thing. People had a lot less money, but it was the very same. But I'll never forget, gosh darn, my dad, he was so mad, and I just carried that steel, and so I failed it the 3rd time. And the 4th time, thank God, I passed. But then no broker would hire me. It's unheard of. You women in the room, you control residential real estate in this country. But back then, there were very few women. I swear to goodness. I think I hired when I worked, was managing a Coal Banker office after I sold for 5 years. I had a woman, one of the first, and she was fabulous. So it's amazing how things change and evolve. And all of a sudden, I started making some sales, and I worked my butt off. I knocked doors 3 hours every single day for the first 2 years. That was my commitment, to become a listing superstar. Because if you control listings, you control inventory, then they come to you. But I love the 8 years that I sold real estate. That year that I sold the 365 homes, the National Association of Realtors, they called me and said, now, is this true? You're 25, just turning 25 now, and you sold 365 homes. I said, yeah. We want you to speak at the National Convention in Los Angeles. Well, I didn't blurt it out, but I had a paranoia about ever speaking. When I was in the 2nd grade, I starred in the school play, Sleeping Beauty. I was supposed to kiss her and wake her up. There were 50 people in the audience. My mom and dad right here. I had my silver little cape on and my shoes, turned up shoes. I walked out on the stage to kiss her. I looked down and saw my mom and dad. And I was supposed to now talk. And I stood there. I don't know how long, but suddenly came out and she said, "Be off." And I said, I will never do that again. My mother had to call the teachers and say, don't ask him to stand up tomorrow and say anything, you won't see him in class. That's how paranoid I was about what I'm doing here. But it's been a fabulous journey, and one of the things that Bruce and I share, besides jokes, humor, love, laughter, we share the importance of note-taking. We would always have notes, and of course, Bruce was an avid note-taker. I mean, he'd listen to someone and blah, 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 blah. So I told everybody, I said, guys, I want to get a handout because I want to have you take home. And he said 3 hours. I'm only going to be an hour. When I heard that, I went, boy, they're going to go, oh boy. But I'd love to have you take your notebook out. And I'd love you to take this because I tried to go back over the years and remember the things that Bruce and I would pound away on. And the very first thing I'm going to share with you is if you work harder on yourself than you do on your real estate job to make number one happen, you will make an awful lot of money. Now let me put number one up here. If you ran into me in the elevator last night, hypothetically, let's say I'm going to the 10th floor, you're going to the 7th, and you said, Tom, I can't get up to see you tomorrow. I've got you alone in this elevator. What's the real secret to making lots of money? I would say what number one is. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job to become a person that people like, trust, and want to listen to. I cannot impress upon you the importance of having this be the foundation. Where when they first meet you, they have defenses up. When they first call an ad in the paper, they're nervous about meeting a realtor. When they walk in the office, they have defenses. You have to learn to move people, which is one of the things I'm going to be talking about. Some of the fun things. How to get people in your car when they don't want to drive with you. What you say to them. And you've got to be different. I really believe if you're different than other salespeople, they'll open up faster. I was crazy. People used to laugh at me. Out in Simi Valley, we're going to have a 100-degree day. And I light the fire when I'm having an open house. And of course, people will stop and walk in. And here's the air conditioner cranked down and a fire going. And they walk in and go, do you know it's 100? You got the fire going. And I would smile and say, yes. I wanted the family that might enjoy owning this home to get a feel for all the seasons. And we love the fire on a winter's night, don't you? Well, yes. Boy, it's different. Then, of course, I'd walk them through and I'd ask qualifying questions, and if I knew we had a good one here, I always brought with me to the open house 2 half-gallons of vanilla ice cream. And with the most qualified people, as they're leaving, because of course I gotta stay, they're leaving, I go and say, I've got a little gift for you. And I get a half-gallon of ice cream. I said, I want you guys to enjoy this. Well, now, if it's 100 degrees out, where are you going with a half-gallon of ice cream in your car? You're going home. This is how I got them off the street. They're not going to look at a home in another realtor and get that ice cream home. Yeah. I used to do all these stupid things. They laughed at me. Of course, they all laughed at me at first. And then all of a sudden, we had our award banquet like you're here, in Van Nuys, and we had the awards. And of course, I'm a competitor. I love to win. And of course, I started getting the listing number and the sales and so forth. And it was fabulous. But teaching people about real estate is the highest exciting thing. Just knowing what to say to people. And this is so important. Your ethical standards are the foundation of a long-term successful career. And I was so positively moved to see an invocation, which is not the norm in this world today, but should be. Also, it's important that you have a definition of closing, which is professionally using a person's desire. Now, notice the 2 fill-ins, own the benefits. They don't buy a home. They don't buy the slab, the bricks, the mortar. They buy the benefits, the status of ownership. Then you blend to that desire they have, your sincere desire to serve by helping them make a decision to own a property, which is, of course, good for them. Everything must be good for them. And it's important you realize that you have a major enemy. And I would say if there's anything that I taught, and Bruce and I worked on, was to have people quit using sales jargon. See, if you met me at a party and we're out in the backyard having a cocktail by the pool, and you said, what do you do for a living? I would say, let me give you just a hint. I work with a hammer, nails, and a saw. Well, right away, because of the tools I work with, you know I am a what?
Carpenter.
I'm a carpenter. You wouldn't be afraid of me. But if you said, what do you do? I said, I sell insurance. I'm so glad to be talking to you. You are gone. So I'm going to throw this out, and I'm going to ask you as a company, as a dear, dear, loved friends company, to, as a whole company, commit to eliminating saying 10 words. In other words, I hope you'll not ever create this fear by using these words. Never say the price of the home. See, when you say to someone, well, the price of this property is $644. All they heard was price, and their little subconscious goes, let's talk to some others and maybe we can get a better price. So we always call it the total investment. It's the total investment in the property. And the feeling is totally different because of the words. And when you're closing the sale, don't ask them for a down payment. They don't want to give you the money. Give it back for the initial investment on the home. It's a whole different feeling. And you're not creating fear. Number 3, don't call it a monthly payment. The average American is paying too much and they feel that. So we always share with them the monthly investment or monthly amount. And then, of course, Number 4 scares the pants off of people. Don't ever call any form a contract. And most people, I know, we used to call it a deposit receipt. Is that still the term for here? Oh, is it? One of my ladies shaking her head, she was with me 30. How many years ago? 30. God bless you. They're afraid of a contract. And you can have them this close to going yes or no, and they see that printed form, and you call it a contract, and it's over. I want you to learn all these. The agreement. Call it. People love to agree on things. Let's go over the agreement and see how it looks. Or call it the paperwork. Why don't we draft? I used to say it this way. Why don't we just draft up our feelings? This sentence, I bet I said, I'm not a million, thousands of times. Why don't we just draft up our thoughts on the paperwork and see if going ahead even makes sense? The last 5 words were the pressure relievers. And see if going ahead even makes sense. What I've just said is if it doesn't make sense, we don't go ahead, which relieves the pressure while I'm closing sooner to get a check. So important. Or form. Form that doesn't threaten them. Number 5, don't ask them to sign it. Mom and Dad said, whenever you're with a salesperson, for God's sakes, don't sign anything. So you ask them 1 of 4 things. We'll just need you to authorize, approve, or endorse, or okay the paperwork. You want to learn all 4 because the average person making high income in real estate closes the transaction after 5 attempts. Different ways to go at the close. So we really love you to work on all. And you don't want to say any word more than once, or you then become redundant, and what's positive can become negative. Okay? And then, of course, don't say the word buy. If you guys buy in this area, well, all they heard was what they didn't want to do. Buy. They're going to look. So drop by. Always just say when you own. See, people love to own. If you folks are fortunate to own in this area, I think you're going to enjoy the appreciation that we feel is coming. So eliminate buy, it's own. Such a difference in the whole feeling. And don't use the word objections, because it'll open up an envelope in their mind where all their objections to buy are in. So we either say the word concerns or areas of concern. Concerns or areas of concern. I tried never to use the word problems because it opened up an envelope of where they had problems they hadn't thought of. So we always use challenges. I dropped the word appointment because that was something many people didn't want to have with a realtor. I didn't say, can we get an appointment? Right away their subconscious goes, how long will it be? How do we get him out of our house? How do we get rid of him? I never had an appointment. I just want to visit with people, and I love to just kind of pop by and visit. See, pop by and visit's the connotation I'm popping in, popping out. With a check, of course. That's why I'm visit. You pop in, pop out. Which again is fun. Fun, fun, fun. And then, of course, people will ask you, so let me ask you this. If we go ahead and take this place, you paid pretty good, you get a commission? Don't use the word commission. I always used it. I used to say it this way. Well, how do you get paid if we buy this home? Fortunately, the company has built a fee-for-service into all of our transactions. I can assure you, however, the service you receive from our company over the years will far outweigh the fee. And that's what you really want, isn't it? Isn't that nice? So it's always the fee for service. Fee for service. And of course, if you will eliminate these 10 and replace them, you're going to lower the fear and you are going to make more money. That I can assure you. Would you do me a favor down here? Would you bring that chair right here for me? Now, and you young lady, have you ever been with me before? You haven't? To increase the learning experience, you wouldn't be offended helping me, would you? I'm going to need this one on too. Would you help me? Come on, come on. Give her a hand for volunteering. Now, if you grab the paper and pen and just come right over here to me, well, I want you to help by writing down something that she doesn't see. I want you to write right here, one of the 52 cards in a deck of cards. You don't make it an ace, I think I'm going to lose. So anyone but an ace. Great. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Have a seat. Now, what is your first name?
Lisa.
Have a seat, Lisa. Now, Lisa, you've played cards once or twice, haven't you?
A couple times, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, there's 52 in the deck, isn't that right?
Yes.
And there's two colors, they're red or black. Would you name red or black? Either red or black. Well, that leaves you with the red, wouldn't it?
Correct.
On the red, we have two types. We have hearts or diamonds. Would you name the hearts or diamonds?
Definitely diamonds.
Okay, that would leave you with the beautiful hearts, wouldn't it?
I guess it would.
In the hearts, we've got face cards or number. Would you name the face or the number?
Face.
That's right. Now, on the face, the hearts, which you seem to enjoy, we have the Jack, Queen, or King of Hearts. Would you name the Jack, Queen, or King of Hearts?
Queen.
I think you found it. See, we don't push people. We want them to come up with their own decisions. Now, young man, what did you write down? Queen of Hearts. Didn't she do good? I am not teaching you a card trick.
Do it again.
I'm going to do it once more, then you're going to do it with the person next to you. Just like last night with the chorus. Yeah, it's such fun. You need to participate. So I'm going to do it one more time, and I'm going to come back here, and you look forward. We're going to lead her to a totally different one. Let's lead her to this, and this. Everybody got it? All right, so watch, because I want you to duplicate what I do with the person next to you after I do this, all right? You've played cards once or twice, haven't you?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, there's 52 in the deck, isn't that right?
Correct.
And there's two colors, red or black. Would you name the red or black?
Red.
That's right. Now, in the red, we have two types. You have hearts or diamonds. Would you name the hearts or diamonds?
Hearts.
That'd leave you with the diamonds, wouldn't it? Now, in the diamonds, we have two types. We have face cards or number. Would you name the face or number?
Face.
That's right. No, that would leave you with the numbers, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Numbers, we have odd or even. Would you name odd or even?
Odd.
That's right. In the odd, we have two types. Low 3, 5, high 7, 9. Would you name low or high?
High.
That, of course, will leave you with the low, wouldn't it? Which is the 3 or 5 of diamonds. You could name the 3 or 5 of diamonds.
3.
That's right.
That's right. Give her a nice hand. Good job. All right, now, you'll notice on the next page in your book, this is called Becoming a Master Asker. And here is the formula for the card trick. I put it in your book. Also, I have it here on the screen because some people have never played cards. But you know what? If you've never played